Christine Kenneally, The First Word, The Search for the Origins of Language. Embark on an insightful journey exploring the origins of human language with Christine Kenneally's The First Word, The Search for the Origins of Language. This thought-provoking book delves into numerous theories surrounding human language acquisition, combining elements of psychology, biology, and linguistics. Gain a deeper understanding of how children learn language, Chomsky's inherited language system theory, and the potential of animal language capabilities. Be captivated by breakthrough theories on the evolution of language and ponder the question of how human language evolved.
Chomsky's revolutionary critique. In 1959, Noam Chomsky shocked the world of psychology by criticizing B.F. Skinner's behaviorism theory on language learning. Skinner's stimulus-response model didn't explain how children not only quickly learned a huge number of words but also the rules for how words could be combined to form new sentences. Chomsky argued that language was a perfect, inherited system pre-existing in the human brain and that only humans possessed this component, enabling them to develop languages of their own. Language acquisition in primates. Studies show primates can learn and understand language, posing a challenge to Chomsky's theory that language is unique to humans. Chomsky's theory of the human language being based on a component specific to the human brain may be challenged by primates' ability to learn, communicate, and understand language. In an effort to understand the language capabilities of primates, scientists conducted experiments where they gave apes keyboards with images printed on the keys to communicate. One of the most significant results was obtained by researcher Sue Savage-Rumbaugh, who taught an ape named Kanzi to produce and comprehend aspects of language. Initially, Kanzi had only observed his mother's lessons on how to communicate using the picture keyboard. However, he was later able to combine multiple symbols to communicate his desires and even comprehend spoken English. These results raise questions about the uniqueness of human language acquisition and its origins. The studies pose a challenge to Chomsky's theory and suggest that language acquisition may not be exclusive to humans. Evolution of language. The idea that language has evolved over time is not a new one. However, it was only after the groundbreaking work of psychologists Paul Bloom and Steven Pinker that it became widely accepted in the scientific community. Prior to their work, scholars like Chomsky believed that language was a preconfigured system in our brains. Pinker and Bloom argued that language is no different than other complex abilities that have evolved over time, such as echolocation and depth perception. Their argument combined linguistics with evolutionary biology and highlighted how language gives a substantial advantage to any species that communicates with one another. As a result, people started focusing on how language evolved rather than wondering whether it did. Pinker and Bloom's work was a significant shakeup in the traditional thinking about language, providing a more comprehensive understanding of the origins and development of language. Evolutionary biology and language. In his 1984 PhD thesis, Philip Lieberman presented an opposing view to Chomsky's idealized opinion of language. Lieberman believed that to truly understand language, you must start with biology, and biology only makes sense if looked at from an evolutionary standpoint. His research indicated that there could be no specific, independent language center in the brain, as the language system was connected to the motor system. This was based on a study where Lieberman compared patients with Parkinson's disease to neurologically healthy patients. He found that the patients whose brains had degenerated due to the disease not only suffered from motor problems but also had trouble understanding and producing syntactically correct language. Lieberman's view conflicted even more with Chomsky's idea than Pinker and Bloom's did, as he believed that no such organ could have evolved. Human versus animal language. Human language requires more than just words, it needs grammar and meaning. Animal communication is genetically anchored to each species, while the emergence and spread of new terms in human language wouldn't be possible through mere evolution. To understand how language evolved, we first need to define what human language is and how it differs from animal language. Human language requires the ability to talk about something, which can also be seen in a 30-year-old parrot named Alex who can name different objects and answer questions when asked. However, a crucial aspect of human language that separates it from animal communication is that it requires words. While animals like African vervet monkeys and chickens make meaningful sounds, these alarm calls are genetically anchored to each species and cannot be interpreted as words with grammar and meaning. Human language also involves the emergence and spread of new terms like computer and internet that cannot be attributed to mere evolution. Words contain information about sound, grammar, and meaning. For example, the word dog doesn't just refer to a four-legged animal, but it's a noun and can also be used as the subject of a sentence. In contrast, animal communication lacks the structural complexity and potential for evolution that human language has. The fundamental gap between human and animal language lies in how language is designed and how it can evolve. Gestures and infant language development. From baboon muzzle wipes to infant pointing, gestures play a crucial role in human language development. George H. W. Bush's scratch on the bridge of his nose during a press conference is an example of how humans also use these gestures. Infants learn to point and form sentences with gestures and words. Additionally, infants babble and produce speech-like sounds as a way to learn the sounds native to their species before constructing meaningful speech. It turns out that dolphin infants also go through a babbling phase. Thus, gestures are not only essential in human language development but in animal communication as well. The components of human language. Human language consists of two types of structures, morphemes, which are studied in the linguistic discipline of phonology and syntax, which has to do with how words and morphemes are combined into phrases. Phonology and syntax are not unique to humans, as seen in the way birds and whales sing and primates using syntax. The big question is whether syntax is exclusively human or not. Some claim that animals have no syntax in their language, but several primates have been observed using syntax. It is believed that only humans are capable of understanding and using the complicated nature of human syntax, however, the example of kanji proves otherwise. Therefore, neither of these two structures are unique to the human language and the question still remains as to what makes human language human. Language abilities and the brain. The assumption that specific brain areas are responsible for language capabilities has been dispelled. Brain damage can result in language capacity moving to another area, indicating a more widespread network. Research suggests that certain language-related behaviors are dependent on an individual's brain structure. When pieces of a Japanese quail's brain were implanted in a domestic chicken's brain and vice versa, the birds continued to produce their species calls but started responding to the maternal calls of the other. This innate and biological basis of language applies to humans, explaining why babies have a natural instinct to learn their parents' language. Language evolution, a co-evolving virus. In the 16th century, Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus introduced a revolutionary idea that the sun, not the earth, was at the center of the universe. Similarly, linguist Simon Kirby proposed a shift in perspective where humanity is a survival tool for language, not the other way around. Kirby's research used computer models to simulate the evolution of language and found that structure in language emerges when an individual doesn't have access to the whole wealth of language at once. Thus, language evolves similarly to a co-evolving virus or parasite that resides in the human brain and needs humans to spread. This idea of a co-evolving virus could open doors for a unique understanding of how language shapes the human experience and vice versa. Robot language evolution. A Belgian scientist named Luc Steels built robots that could develop their own language through interacting with human agents. The study involved placing remote-controlled robots in different laboratories globally, allowing a real human agent to control one unit. The agents were free to explore an object, such as a painting, and create words that describe what they see. Simultaneously, other agents controlling robots in the same vicinity attempted to understand and interpret the new words. Over time, the robots developed their own language through mutual agreement and understanding. Stiles found out that for the language to develop, the robots had to be equipped with the ability to point at objects because this was crucial in forming word-object relations. Although the language is still primitive, the study took a meaningful step towards understanding language's evolution.
In the end, the first word offers no definitive answer to the origins of human language, but it does provide an intriguing exploration of various theories and perspectives. From Chomsky's view on innate language abilities to Pinker and Bloom's evolutionary take, human language remains a marvel to be studied and understood. Enriched with scientific research, the book allows readers to appreciate the intricacies of language development in both humans and animals. Although consensus remains elusive, this scholarly journey provides a glimpse into the complex and captivating world of human language and its evolutionary path.